Rachael Heyhoe Flint, former director of Wolverhampton Wanderers, but I was captain of the England women's cricket team for 11 years, played for them for 21 years, and there was a link between Wolves and the England women's cricket team because I wanted money for our amateur team to go on tour to the West Indies, and I wrote to this gentleman up here, Jack Haywood, who was born in Wolverhampton as I was, hence the curious link between cricket and Wolverhampton Wanderers. I went to the local high school, Wolverhampton High School, not for an academic reason, but the fact that the sport was very good there. And the teacher of physical education played cricket for Lancashire, and she encouraged us to play cricket. So through the 50s, I was learning the game of cricket, but my father was director of physical education in Wolverhampton, so there was sport in the whole family anyway. He and my mother both played representative hockey, tennis, cricket, so I had to do something in sport. And the fact that the Wolverhampton Women's Cricket Club was founded in the 1950s by our teacher of physical education meant that I got an outlet for cricket. Didn't even know there was an England women's cricket team, and suddenly I was playing for Staffordshire, and then go to these trials. What trials are they? Oh, the Midlands. So next I'm playing for the Midlands, then I get selected. You're going on tour with Young England. I said, that's nice. So tour to Holland with Young England, and then 1960 I got into the full England team and went on tour to South Africa, and that was just the beginning of my England career. In 1966, I must have caught the selector's eye because I didn't bribe them, I promise. I was made captain of the England women's cricket team in that wonderful year, 1966. Told after a series of trial matches, that's right. We were all called into the pavilion, and the chairman of Selector said, and we're now going to name the captain for this coming series against New Zealand. And I'm thinking, and captain is Rachael Heyhoe, as I was in those days. I thought, jolly good, I'm captain. There's no perks to it, it was just a thrill, and that was the beginning of my England career in 1966. I'm not very good on stats or anything like that, but I know there was a bit of opposition to me being captain because I tended to be a little bit flippant and devil-may-care, if that's the right expression, both on and off the pitch. And I think they thought, the selectors, well, it's a bit of a risk having Rachael as captain. So the first test was against New Zealand at Scarborough. Beautiful county cricket ground, surrounded by all these wonderful houses, guest houses, great crowd. And I thought, I think I'd better show the selectors that I do take this game seriously. And I actually scored a century in my first innings as captain for England. The whole series against New Zealand, it was a drawn series, but I do remember particularly one match, which was the day of the World Cup final, 1966, July the 30th, and I was played in a sort of select 11 called the President's 11 against New Zealand. It was sort of a warm-up game between test matches, and this was at Dartford College of Physical Education, where I previously trained as a teacher. And this was the match which clashed with the World Cup final, and I thought, this is terrible. Don't the selectors know, 20 miles up the road from Dartford there's a rather important World Cup final with England against Germany. The game it was a very wet pitch when we woke up the next morning, looked out of the college windows, and we thought, will we even play today? But we did make a start. New Zealand were put into bat on a very soggy wicket, and it really was soggy. I don't think, but for the fact that it was New Zealand and a lot of people had come a long way to play in it, that we would have actually gone through with it. They were very slow scoring, something like 57 at lunchtime, but we'd had one break for rain, and I thought, being an absolute football nut as I was anyway, I thought, gosh, wouldn't it be wonderful if it rained just before and we could go and watch it on television inside the college buildings. Up to that stage, I'd been a Wolves fan since 1949. My brother and I used to stand in the old cowshed, which is now very poshly called the Stan Cullis stand. So football was in my DNA anyway, so hence me keeping half an eye on what was going to be happening at Wembley. at lunchtime we thought, well, we may get away with, we eventually got New Zealand out for 109, I think it was. I'd got one run out because bowling was not my strongest feature anyway. And we thought, oh, well, we ought to be able to get this score. About 20-3, it absolutely hosed down with rain, 20-3, 3 o'clock kickoff, and I thought there's somebody up there who's watching me down here. So we all went into the college sort of lounge sitting room. Television was on for 1 or 2 students that were there, and lo and behold, we were able to watch the whole match because it poured throughout it. I think it was rainy at Wembley, but there was a bright spell through period there. But the thing that really annoyed me was that we went into extra time, obviously, and the thing that really annoyed me was that the New Zealand women's cricket team, who obviously were watching with us, they were supporting Germany, and I didn't like that at all. The fact that we've had such great England representation at Wembley, and particularly Ron Flowers, who sadly didn't play because of course substitutes weren't allowed in those days, but Ron was one of my great heroes in Wolves, and right from the era of Billy Wright in 1949 onwards, the wonderful Floodlit Matches against European opposition. In fact, you could almost say that we were not the instigators of floodlit football, but I can still see that match when I was crammed up against the railings with my brother, and Wolves came out and they got these different shirts. They were all sorts of shiny and glossy, a bit like IPL cricketers nowadays, but no advertising or anything on them. So to know that it was England, I was England women's captain then, and just sport to me was everything, and particularly England.